Amber Victor, this is just the latest in this contentious feud between the state of Texas and the Biden administration over federal immigration policy and how things should be handled at the border. The base will house up to 1,800 Texas National Guard members, but it could expand to 2,300 if there is a surge of migrants. Now, the governor is calling it a military base to amass a large army in a very strategic area, but it's also an 80-acre base that appears to be in direct defiance of federal border control. Now, according to Abbott, the base will help them consolidate. It'll give them that flexibility and that speed because of its proximity to the border. He also highlighted the ability it will give them to expand razor wire in the area, something that has already been a huge point of contention between the two sides. Here is what Governor Abbott said.
Our goal is to make sure that we expand the effectiveness of that razor wire to more areas along this border. Having the soldiers located right here, right by the river, they're going to have the ability to more quickly be able to construct that razor wire barrier. And this will reduce the travel time and costs of current living conditions.
Now, last year, Texas officials sued the Biden administration for cutting razor wire at the border, but last month, the Supreme Court ruled that Border Patrol agents could remove that razor wire while the state's legal challenge plays out. And it's not just the razor wire and Border Patrol's access to the border that is playing out in court. The legality of Texas's decision to implement a series of buoys on its river border with Mexico is still in question. An appeals court is set to reconsider an earlier court's ruling declaring the barriers illegal, and Abbott continues to send migrants from the border to Democrat-controlled cities across the U.S., which of course has been at the center of this showdown between the state of Texas and the federal government. The administration has said that this is a federal issue, but Abbott is showing with this latest announcement of a new base that he really just is not backing down. Amra, Victor.
All right, thanks so much, Camila. CNN national security analyst and former assistant secretary at the Department of Homeland Security, Juliet Kayyem, is with us now. So Camila just said this is a federal issue. The enforcement of border laws and immigration laws is exclusively a federal responsibility. I wonder if you put this in the category of the posturing that we've seen from Greg Abbott before now, or is this something more?
Well, this is more of the same, and it's all unconstitutional. I mean, to make it clear, the Constitution, as the Supreme Court ruled last month, makes it abundantly clear that essentially border security, or the security of our nation, is a federal function. The states can support it. They can't create their own immigration or foreign policy, which is essentially what Governor Abbott is doing by restricting the movement of federal officials. I think people don't quite understand that. He's like basically saying, well, the feds can't come here, as if he were a sovereign state. And one way to think about this outside of the politics of this divided nation is imagine a liberal governor in California deciding to open up all the borders in California, right, with Mexico. We would not tolerate that. That would be also viewed as an unlawful assertion of state rights. So here's how I view what Abbott is doing. It is posturing, it is expensive, it is a waste of time, but it is a way for him to change the narrative from law, which he's losing in every court case, to, well, I'm tougher than the Biden administration. Texas has also, we got to go there. Texas has a big Senate election coming up this year, and it looks like Republican Senator Ted Cruz is struggling a bit, and all of this is just for show, dangerous, inhumane in the way it's functioning.
Yeah, the Eagle Pass, and we had an elected official from Eagle Pass there. The state officials have taken over Shelby Park, which is along the border, and they're not allowing federal authorities, Border Patrol, to get to that area. And there is this fear of a standoff that at some point may come between the state officials, the Texas National Guard, and the federal officials. Does this make that more likely that there will be some standoff?
Much more so. So this Eagle overpass construction that Abbott is talking about is essentially to formalize, institutionalize his unlawful policies. So how I think about it is it makes it more dangerous for migrants. We've had some deaths that probably could have been saved by Texas officials, and federal officials were not there. It makes it more dangerous for Texas National Guard members, not simply because of a potential stand-up, but they are not trained in this. Their mission is ill-defined, and Texas Tribune has been reporting about the increase even in suicides of Texas National Guard members because you don't just deploy people who this is their part-time job for an indefinite period of time for a mission that's nebulous. And then, of course, it increases the danger to our federal officials because whether it's a standoff or more likely a mistake, right? You think someone's a migrant, it's actually a law enforcement official. This is where mistakes get made when there's no clear command, and all Abbott is doing is muddying it. And I have to say, unlawfully, the Supreme Court has ruled. I mean, we're not quite. I mean, in some ways, I think we're not quite capturing. Like the Supreme Court has said, stand down, and he refuses.
Yeah, when you say, and I think that probably put it into context and clarity for a lot of people, imagine if Governor Newsom had decided that we're going to let everybody in California who wants to come through, doors open, just come this way. There would be outrage across this country in some communities because it's not the governor's responsibility to open the back door for the country for people to come through because he decides to do it. Let me talk about what